Hello and welcome back to Cheer Up the Podcast. It is season 2 and it is episode 4. If you are just new to us, you can find us, well, you found us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, or wherever we're everywhere, Spotify. We've got an exciting guest on today, haven't we, Jane?
Oh, it's so exciting.
All the way from the US of A, may I add as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
We've got Coach Lain.
Yeah, Coach Lain. We're going to jump over to Zoom now, but he is a mindset coach. He's been in the cheer industry for like 20 plus. He's a very, very knowledgeable person, so we're honoured to have him on our UK-based podcast.
So stay tuned for some really good golden nuggets of information from Coach Lain.
Hello and welcome to Cheer Up the Podcast, Coach Lain. It's an honour to have you all the way across the pond.
Yeah.
It's
an honor to be here.
I'm Theo. I've been in the industry now for, I don't even know.
We don't say that. We just say we've been in the industry.
Yeah, a while. Jane's been in it for years. She's gone grey.
I always joke, I actually had red hair when I started and now it's grey. I was bright red and now it's grey. So yeah, I've been in the industry for 18 years, but dance as a whole for more than 40, but the cheerleading and the dance, 18 years. For yourself?
It's been about 20, I'm just going to say 20 plus years myself between cheering and then coaching and now basically freelancing. Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah, it's all over in a blink of an eye, isn't it? As well, it goes so quickly.
Before you know it, the nail's in the coffin, and you're like, "Oh, pearly gates!"
And then I'm not, and that's where I come in.
Jane's a celebrant by day.
So that I've changed my career, and I'm now a celebrant. So yeah, there you
go. So roundabout. So what we want to ask you is, what do you do currently in the cheer industry? What is your
currently? I am, like I said, kind of like a free agent. I work with mostly parents and athletes in the cheer world on their mental performance. So a lot of parents reach out to me when they find that their athletes are struggling to perform their skills, or, hey, my daughter had her roundup back handspring and suddenly lost it, can't do it. So they call me and we dive deep in and take a holistic approach, mental, emotional, and physical, to helping them to regain, I like to say regain the confidence to perform and not like regain the skill.
Yeah. I think that's really important what you just said, is like regaining the confidence, because most of the time as a coach, you'll say, but you can do it.
Yes.
You've done it before. Right. Why can't you do it now? And it's generally because the lack of confidence as to why. And we had an athlete that came into the gym just recently, and she's about 11, 12, and exactly that. She just lost the confidence around her handspring. And when I was coaching, I found a lot of the time that around that age group, they suddenly have a moment of realization where the younger, they're just free-spirited, there's no fear. And then all of a sudden they go, oh, actually, I could hurt myself. And this is when blocks start to come in. Do you have any advice around that?
So much, because it's so funny, because I think it's just the human way to avoid discomfort as much as possible. And so I call it motivation culture. Motivation culture, it feeds on our feelings, and so it tries to help us feel better about our situation as quickly as possible, right? So in doing so, it has all of these isms or sayings that we try to do, or these words that we use to placate our symptoms. Mental block is one of those phrases that it uses to placate the symptoms. I think you're absolutely right that it has a lot to do with age and development. I think puberty is a big influence, right? When your body's changing, your hormones are changing, especially when your physical body is changing, your mind is aware, your brain is aware of all of those changes. Every centimeter that you've grown, your brain is aware of, right? So it's almost like you're doing these physical skills in a new body every single practice. And if you're not of the practice of
standing tuck. When I grew, I was like, oh damn.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Really interesting, like the body is changing, and when they get teenagers, suddenly become like they go a bit gangly and their arms are a bit longer than what they were, and they suddenly don't know how to coordinate themselves as much as they do.
Exactly. I just, I worked with a young lady. She's 14, but she's long. She's not tall. She was just long, like she's
Yeah.
5'6", and um, all of the coaches she's worked with so far keep reminding her of how long she is. And I was just like, yeah, you're long, and the longer you get, your center of gravity does change. It is a well-documented fact, but it doesn't mean that it's impossible, right? And so it turned out to be that it wasn't her length that was the issue. It was a matter of like a lack of engagement or the way that she had learned the skill. She learned when she was 8. She's been doing the skill the same way for 6 years. And so she's tumbling at 14 the same way she was tumbling at 8. And so that was a big contributing factor. But yeah, like if you're not drilling your skill, because I like to say drills keep skills. They don't just get the skill, right? If you're not drilling your skills and the components, like I like to deconstruct back handsprings and tucks and all of the tumbling, but I like to deconstruct it so that you can not only have greater awareness at every stage of your skill, but then you can also troubleshoot, right? So if you're doing your skill and you have one of these days, you can say, okay, that felt off because. And a lot of athletes are just focused on doing the entire skill. So when they have a rep that feels bad, they're like, oh, that felt bad, or that felt off. That felt weird.
Yeah.
What's wrong with me, or what's wrong with my skill? And then it starts this whole anxiety spiral that is very natural. It's just unnecessary,
Yeah.
And I also think added to that, there's always the pressure that they need to have the skill for the team in order to
Yeah.
get it on the score sheet. There's also the pressure if you've got a coach who's coming in from not breaking the skill down for that athlete.
Time
going,
pressure as well.
and the
Yeah,
time, like,
time.
you know, we need it. Have you got it? We need it. Just throw it. And you're
Yes.
like, no.
Yes.
Oh, like you said, it's about looking at how that individual athlete, and it's not always like that we're all out there for the same goal, is to win. But if you've got athletes that are going through this transition, what's important is that you're keeping your athletes safe, you're building that confidence, and yeah, you might like just lose out by a 0.5 or something at that comp, but the next time,
right,
it's about that
and
growth of that athlete as well as the team.
well, you just brought up one of my favorite contradictions to point out, right? Because you brought up how, and this is a cheer thing. This is, and it's funny how even across the pond, I've noticed that internationally, cheer culture is so embedded everywhere you go that this is a common issue. So you said that it's very important for us to build up the confidence of the athlete, which is entirely true. And then you said that one of the issues is, Theo said like the time, and you were talking about pressure, and then you said how coaches are like, just throw it.
Yeah.
When do you use the word throw outside of cheer?
Never at
right?
all. Never.
That's what we would think. And here's the one I always get. I always get somebody saying, when you throw a ball, and I'm like, yeah, but you're a cheer athlete. How often are you saying I'm throwing a ball or, doing that motion outside of cheer? And they're like Theo, never. I'm like, okay. So one thing that we do, and I don't know if this might be a colloquialism. Like, I don't know if this is something that maybe you guys have a different phrase for saying this, but I know for us, we say, I'm going to throw this out. I'm going to throw the trash out, right?
Yeah.
We use the word throw for trash all the time. And so our brains use semantic memory, right? It uses words to take shortcuts cognitively. So just because you're saying this word in cheer doesn't change its meaning, right? Throw means throw. Throw means to get rid of something, usually from your hand, but it means to get rid of something. So when I say I'm going to go throw my skill, or you say go throw your skill, your brain is hearing go quickly, get it over with, and get rid of it.
Yeah.
And so that affects the confidence side of things, because now you're not relying on competence and control, and you're also not relying on technique. You're just getting it over with.
Yeah.
And so a lot of athletes will have those days where something is off. And again, they start wondering what's wrong, instead of saying, hey, maybe I was sabotaging myself from the beginning by using the words, of the culture that I'm a part of. So
yeah,
it's the cheer culture is really interesting, isn't it? Like
Honestly, no matter where you go in the world, it's all the same. I'm just like,
it is.
it's
It's
wild.
the strangest thing, and because I know like I've talked to athletes from different sports, and like yeah, the sport is the same, but cheer culture is one of those pervasive cultures that is just so overbearing everywhere you go, and it's like, and I feel like to be a part of cheer culture, a lot of athletes feel like they have to have the lingo down.
Yeah.
They have to talk a certain way, but it's a lot of the words and phrasing that we use that will affect the mental performance of a lot of athletes. But I was curious too, like for you guys, what's the construction of your seasons look like? Like
Mm.
for here, I say like there's like maybe April, maybe May, because like I guess you still have like Worlds and Summit in April.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like you have May to rest, and then June through April you're cheering. Is it pretty much the same for you guys?
Well, no.
Well, this
We
kind
wouldn't.
of we're kind of fragmented into two really, because
Okay.
we've got some competitions over here that run till July. So the last competitions over here, they're still running in July.
Yeah.
So those are more like regionals or like the fun comps. So we have got competition. So after Worlds, if you're a gym and you're competing with Worlds athletes, your season kind of finishes after Worlds, and then you're doing like you're thinking about your tryouts in December, ready for the Worlds teams. But
Okay,
then
got
you've
it.
got the regional teams and maybe more of your grassroots teams, where we're going from like the September
Hmm.
to the July, like almost
That's
like a
me.
school
Yeah.
year.
That's my how I run.
And then we've got other teams that run in. So it's like a season of two halves. And for us, the bugbear is because of Worlds, they change the rules. And then we've
What?
still got competitions from May to
Oh my.
July.
And we're like,
And then they change age divisions and everything else. And you're like, no.
so yeah,
They're always changing the rules, aren't they? That's
Yeah.
that's the fun thing. You always got to check the rules.
honestly change the rules more than I change my pants.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
Honestly. I'm like,
That's why I don't I like honestly, that's why I don't deal with stunt anymore, because like I love stunting, but I just couldn't keep up with all the rule changes and the level change. Like tumbling's starting to get bad like that. Like they're starting to change tumbling level rules,
yeah.
and it's just I don't know, it's just like it's too much to keep up
Honestly,
with.
and obviously, I don't know if it's the same for you guys over there. We obviously have EPs competitions that are all on different score sheets. So we
Yeah.
do a routine
Yeah.
to a
Yeah.
different score. So, for instance, I will match my routine to a comp that I know my athletes will perform well at. We match a
Mhm.
score sheet. We hit all of the criteria, but then we go to another one where we're not even getting any points.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
what?
wild.
And then you got your parents like going, "Oh, but you've done so well at that competition. But what about this competition? Like, it's a different score sheet.
Yeah.
It's completely different to how they score you. We have a thing now called comparative scoring.
Which is, oh man, this is starting to delve into a very interesting topic. How does comparative scoring work?
I mean, you more knowledgeable than me. We have no idea. We're like, what?
To be fair, when I was coaching, that was always my forte, was to get myself on CPD on.
Yeah.
I always went on the conferences. I've not been coaching now, so the comparative scoring is new to me. So I wouldn't like to divulge information that I'm not sure of.
I'm at a point now where because I do a lot on the outside world, outside of cheer, so I'm at a point where I make my coaches do the research.
Right.
I should have Jim Homer at this point. You lot do your research.
Yeah.
You're the
I
lead
like that.
coach. You're the score sheet person. Do your
Yeah.
job.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the technique's always scored very heavily. So for me, when you're making these decisions of, like you said, just throw it.
Right.
When I used to choreograph my routines, I'd look at where I'm gonna really gain the most points, because it is a game.
Right.
You're only ever against your score sheet. In my eyes, is you just don't want them points taken off you. So you're never really against another team. You're only ever against like your
Yes.
score sheet of doing your best and how you can actually improve on that, and trying to change that within a culture where it's about winning, bids, everything else becomes problematic, because you've got teams where you might just go in from a youth division into a junior division. you're competing against different age groups, you know,
Yeah.
might be the youngest. And the demands of coaches and gyms to like get the bids, do everything else when they've just gone into a junior division. Like, no, I want to work with this team. I don't mind
Right.
from 6th, 7th, 8th.
Right.
But what we're going to do is when we do eventually get to the top of the game, we're going to be coming away with grand champions. We're going to be coming away with the best technique score.
Yes.
And you're also going to like shape the individual from losing, from tenacity, from showing up, just being a team.
Confidence.
What it takes to get yourself back up when you've failed. Not failed, but you know, I always like to say it's like failing forward, because every time you're improving, you're getting your scores. How can we improve it? What can we do? Where's the technique?
Yeah, I think coaching as well didn't help with what we, as an industry, it hit us hard in the UK. Like, people want things fast, but I call it fast cheer. They want things and they want it straight away. They want to walk into that gym and be like, I want to go to Worlds. I'm like, you've got to do a forward roll up and you want to go to Worlds? I'm sorry, excuse me, no. You have to have a journey, and there's no journey anymore. They just want it, and they want it now. Even the parents from the parents are like, oh, in such and such go to the summit that's in America, right? Why do you guys go to, excuse me, your daughter can't do a forward walkover, you're not going anywhere. It's a journey. We've got to build them up. They've got to win, they've got to lose, they've got to have that, the whole process. It's not fast cheer. It's a sport which is very dangerous as well. I can't put her in to a level 5 routine or 4 or whatever. All levels are dangerous. I mean, level 1 is hard work. I could not do a level 1 routine without.
Have you ever taught level 1? Like, let's be honest.
It's hard.
What would your advice be around coaching the tumbles and getting the technique right for cheer gyms?
Well, first, my head is spinning because you guys touched on so many of the topics that I like to talk on. Like, no, seriously, like everything from this is why I asked about the construction of your seasons, because regardless of where you go, it's always just fast cheer. I love that. I love that phrase. It's always fast cheer. And then, like you said, thanks to, you know, social media and everything, you have these athletes who, I remember I posted this meme once. It was this kid like walking up the stairs at a hotel, and he like had his leg on the 5th step, but his first foot was on the ground. Yeah. And I was like, you know, cheerleaders be like, got my cartwheel on to fulls, you know. But it's like, that's exactly how it is. Like, it's just always like pushing before it's ready. And I think it's the parents are responding to what they've seen or what they feel the culture is reflecting, because it's such a fast-paced season, it's such a fast-paced sport. And the emphasis is always on the end result. So, Jane, going back to what you asked, the emphasis is always on the end result. My greatest tool, going back to what I said earlier, is deconstruction. You know, and I get that from Tim Ferriss, who's an author of like the 4-Hour Work Week and a couple other books, where he learns processes and then trims the fat to give you just what you need in order to go from A to Z, right? Yeah. But he said whenever he's seeking out coaches to learn from, he likes to work with deconstructionists, because he feels like it gives you a more well-rounded approach to the skill, as opposed to just learning how to do something. It comes with, you know, whys and hows, not just the you know, quick learn. And so my thing with tumbling is, if you can deconstruct the process, and there are several that I know, even in the UK, I don't know his actual name, but he goes by Bear Drills.
Yeah, Bear Drills.
Yeah, you know, like coaches like that who like will actually break down the process and give you, you know, as his name implies, give you plenty of drills to work on the pieces. It makes it so much easier from a comprehension standpoint too. But when it comes to teaching tumbling, I think that's number one. That's the first approach. Number two, it's to realize that when we walk outside those doors, people aren't doing the stuff going down the street. You know, people aren't at the grocery store doing back handsprings and walking their dogs on their hands. Like, it's very contrarian for human beings to be upside down. And so the other thing too is like, yes, this is normalized behavior within our culture, but people coming into it, or even those who are in it and are learning, this is not normal behavior. You know, we have to remind ourselves of that. So there's a lot of conditioning that needs to take place with us being upside down. But but that's it, like even like going back to what we were talking about with how fast-paced cheer culture is. I think like I had this one idea. I haven't shared this with too many people. I had this one idea though. Instead of displaying our trophies at the gym, like, the lobby is fine, the foyer is fine, but like inside the actual practice space, instead of displaying our trophies, we win, a competition. We come back with the trophies and the banners, give all of the athletes an opportunity to take a picture with it, and then it goes in storage. Because what displaying the trophies creates is this idea that we are entitled to another one. Just because you hear it all the time with the kids, right? Like, oh, well, we did so well at Summit last year, or we did so well at such and such competition. It's like, yeah, but there's American football has a saying, any given Sunday, anything can happen.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel like it is with our competitions.
Yeah.
Right? Because Jane, as you said, you're not competing really. Like, let's be honest, what we do, they're not competitions. It's not head to head, two go in, one comes out victorious.
Yes.
It's a contest. And in a contest, your greatest competition is yourself.
Yeah.
So why would you believe that you're entitled to anything if anything can happen when you go out there to perform, which is why I'm really interested on that whole comparative scoring thing. But yeah, to be
Definitely,
more direct and
I'll
answer
find
your
out more
question.
on WhatsApp.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
We'll have updates for you later.
What you said about the trophies is really interesting, because when I was coaching, that was my philosophy as well. Like, your score sheet at this competition, and if you've won, great. But you know what? You won then. You can't take that ego into the next round.
Your golden envelope.
Yeah. So we have a golden envelope. So I put the score in that I think they should get. And if they don't match it, they don't get the treat. If they do match it, they get a treat. Or if they smash it, then that's even better. But the other thing that we used to do was, when we got the trophies, didn't matter where you came or with the flags, the member of that team who it was awarded to, that member who had turned up for practice, who had really done something, who had maybe
stepped up and gone above and beyond,
or had been kind to another member, who had helped another person. So the coach had tracked the progress from one competition to the next. And then each person so the kids, it became less focused on the outcome at the competition and more focused on who was going to win the trophy within the team, who's worked the hardest, who's done all of those things. And then they'd walk away, and the parents would be like, and the kids would all be clapping, and then that would give them a goal to go back into the gym to go, I want that trophy next time. So I want to get the trophy next time. What do I need to do? How did she win?
Very interesting.
It? So I tried to do a lot of things to get the focus away from competing against other teams to competing against yourself. And like you say, deconstructing a skill, even with stunting.
Mm-hmm. Yes, even with stunts. Exactly.
Yeah. By the end of the season, we want the 4 elite skills in. We probably want 5 or 6 in case you don't hit them. We want the transitional, we want the pace. But at the start of the season, that's our goal. But let's work backwards. What can we hit well? What can we hit clean? And what can we hit safely?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
And it's all about, obviously, as I think as a coach as well, telling them we see you, this is the goal we see for you as a team. We have to go through that process. We have to go through each training session, each win, each loss, each hard session, whatever it is, the journey. As long as they know your journey and where you want to go, they're on board with you. Once they're on board with you, you can work with that, and you can not do fast cheer. You can actually enjoy the journey and the process and go through the motions. And you might start off a level 1 team, you might move up to level 2. Yeah. And you might move up to level 3 and find, this team are really, really good at level 3. We've taught them a process here, and we've got the motion. But
I love that. Well, that would be one of the other things that I would say is communicating expectations as a coach, right? Communicating that, and make sure not just communicating to the athlete, but also with the athlete to see what their expectations are, to make sure that those line up. I remember reading a book years ago about anger, and it was talking about how humans really only experience 2 types of anger. We experience what he put as like God, like wrath of God anger, like justice, like when you see an injustice, it makes you angry.
Yeah.
And then the other type is the anger that arises from expectations not being met. And they're not met because they're not communicated, So husband and wife, or like, mother to child, comes home, someone hasn't washed the dishes and she gets angry. And then you're like, well, why are you angry? It's like, well, I had an expectation that I'm coming home and somebody other than me would have done the dishes. But if that wasn't communicated, then of course there's going to be irrational anger, right? That just from the expectation not being met. So I think that we see that a lot too with the coach athlete relationship.
You better wash the dishes.
I was thinking the expectation. That's really interesting, because I was thinking from a cheer parent, a coach, a parent to the coach.
Yeah.
Yes,
the
exactly.
Come in and go, why are they not on the level 3 team? Well, maybe because they haven't got back tuck. Well, why haven't they got back tuck? Because I'm paying you all this money, and if they need a back tuck to be in that team, why are you not doing it? Well, because it's not safe for them to do that right now.
Exactly. So if that's not communicated and this is why, like, I love what I get to do, because when I'm at the gym, like I rent space from a gym locally, when I'm at the gym by myself during the early parts of the day and the parent is there, she's paid for this trip to come from out of state, I'm like, hey, come on the floor. Like, you don't have to be sequestered. And the mom from the last trip, I told her, I said, hey, come on the floor. And she like tiptoed around the edges of the floor. And I said, get on the floor. Like, it's okay. And she started laughing. She said, I've just been so conditioned to not be a part of this process.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know, and I understand. And I get why that has to happen sometimes. I said, but here you get to be on the floor. And I really love that, because I get to communicate directly with the parents at the practice. And so they get to hear the rationale and the decisions as they're happening. So they don't have to question, like, well, we paid such and such money to come out here. Why I expected her to, do the skill by the time we leave.
Mm-hmm.
So it's communicating expectations, I think, is a big part of it.
Yeah. And what you said about conditioning, that's another thing. When people go, well, they just look like they're doing keep fit in there, they're just doing this. No, they're drilling. They're actually drilling.
Yeah.
You need to get the muscle groups in order to get the skill, either with the flexibility or the strength that it needs in order to do the skill technically well, not just technically well, but sometimes body shapes, like you said, are much more different. So you're going to have to look at that body type and think, well, how we're going to get this skill to work for you.
It's a fitness as well.
So conditioning, and the athletes come in with the mindset like, oh, I don't want to condition. Well,
you need to. 2 minutes
exactly.
Is the hardest routine you'll ever do in your life. Like some of my coaches that have like never done a routine before, I'm like, you do understand how hard it is, no matter what level. It is a hard 2 minutes 30. I don't think I could do a prep like routine anymore. Like, I'd be knackered. I'd be absolutely knackered. We're asking them for dance, to jump, to stunt, to move, to throw a basket, to then do it with glitter and bows in their hair, but do with a smile on their face.
Right, and smiles on their face like they're actually enjoying all the torture.
They're like
a dual bass, I don't know, a double up with a smile on your face.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's a lot. It is hard, and the kids need the fitness. Like my sister, she's a fitness coach. She did PT and stuff like that. And I literally walked around the corner the other day. I was like, it's like a concentration camp in here. But the kids were wrecked. I was like,
it's so true.
It's
so true.
Yeah, she said, I didn't know you had abs love, but she's repping them. And I was like, that's what they need. They need the fitness.
Yeah.
They do. I mean, because like, think about like two points for both of you guys. Think about other sports, right? When you go to a football practice, like, are they just working on making goals, or are they actually working on dribbling, passing, right, running certain plays? Like, they're practicing the very thing that they're going to do to perform. Basketball, same thing. Like any other sport you go to, they're practicing. It's really interesting because cheer has so many different elements to it. It's not just like, if I think of like like American baseball or even I'm sure like even like with cricket, like hitting is a big part. It's a big skill to have. So you're
Yeah.
gonna practice batting or hitting a lot. Kicking, in football, you're gonna practice kicking the ball a lot. Swimming, you're gonna practice swimming a lot. But cheer has so many different elements to it. It's not just stunting, it's not just running, it's not just jumping, it's not just tumbling. It's all these things all the time. And so I think again with our culture, the emphasis is on performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what the parents want to see when they come in. They want to see their kids performing because they think that that's the end goal. That's what's going to get the trophy at the end of the day. So why aren't they practicing what's going to get the trophy? Like what's going on here? But
Yeah.
I mean, 2.5 minutes. I
It's-
don't know of any other sport that has a 2.5 minute sprint involved.
Yeah, this is how I start every one of my sessions. So I put the music on and they run to their music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they get the dance, so I make them like steadily run, and then when they get to dance, I make them sprint.
Yeah.
I was like, if you cannot do
Ooh,
this
smart.
without being out of breath, then
Mhm.
not do a cheer routine.
Well,
You need to control your breathing in this run.
Yeah, you've got to
And
take
then
them. Yeah,
That's
like
a free warm up every
yeah,
time.
I used to make them work like aerobically and anaerobically, so
Yeah,
that with
right.
the oxygen, without the oxygen. So because they're going to be, that's really the sport in itself. For the 2.5 minutes, you're going to have a section where you're going to go right to intake.
Yeah.
Take this as
And
your
then,
breather,
maybe you're not involved and you get to sit
replenish,
there and breathe for
and
a sec.
then-
Yeah.
and then get ready, or give the breathing spaces within the choreography that you've got. Like that, there's your little breather space.
Yeah, right.
Bring everything back down because you cannot tumble.
But don't stop smiling.
Yeah,
Don't-
Make sure you
stop
breathe through
smiling.
the smile.
I'll breathe, but you've got to I literally try my hardest to choreograph them to breathe, because
Yeah.
sometimes they'll forget. I'm like, this is a motion where you're moving your arms. You can breathe in
Mhm.
this. You can breathe.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah.
Like smile and just breathe. Get it.
Right.
Back spots. This is your time. The bases have got it. Use it to breathe. Bases.
That's smart.
You're up there.
Yeah.
Breathe. You're in a prep. You're holding a prep. Breathe. Oxygen. And I always say to them, if you're counting, you're breathing because you're
Yeah.
Yeah.
bringing in oxygen.
Yeah.
Because you've got to use your mouth and use your lungs. And all
Yeah.
count. Like, it's not a bad thing to count. Like, I go mad when one person's like 1, 3, 5, and somebody's just like,
Well, it's quite motivating that as well, isn't it?
and she's having.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like, I think there's something about, again, going back to like the difference between like motivation and inspiration, right? Motivation is all about how we feel.
Yeah.
Inspiration is the stuff that makes us want to do. So if you have someone on the team who can make you feel really good in that moment, it's going to release those good, happiness chemicals.
Yeah.
It's going to release the dopamine and the oxytocin, and
Yeah.
it's going to get you going. It's going to release some adrenaline and some cortisol, but like in a good way.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with like, because I remember early in my coaching years, like if I saw someone mouthing the counts, I'd be like, don't count. But I was like, no. Like if they're that one girl that's on the floor, she's shouting for the whole team, and it's like comforting for them to hear her voice.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, have her count out loud. Like there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not like they're not gonna hear the music over her.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
And
Communicating on the floor. There's nothing.
Yeah.
I love
yeah,
when it's like 2 of my flyers. We got my most elite team. We've got 2 stunt groups, and they do a bit where they face each other, and just seeing them communicate in the air.
oh
I live for that.
Yeah.
And they're like,
yeah, that's
she
beautiful.
says the same. This one girl says the same thing every time, and she just goes, "You've got this." And I'm
Aw,
like, that you can't
Yeah.
teach stuff. Well, you can teach stuff like that, but seeing that,
yeah,
it's just it's heartwarming, because they're supporting each other and they're communicating with each other, and it's just so nice to see.
Yeah.
Especially on the floor,
Yeah.
it warms your heart a little bit. This might end. I've just messaged you, but we'll jump back on because I've got
Okay, yeah, no
a
worries.
question for you.
I've got a question for you as well. So while we've got your level of expertise on the podcast,
Oh, pfft,
so
please.
what would you say is the biggest skill to get a block on? What do you find is like the most
Most
skill?
common one?
Yeah.
The back handspring.
Really? Yeah.
Believe it or not, the back handspring is the most, well, number one, it's the most coveted. So it's the one that people are gonna like skill skip. Wow, that was a tongue twister. It's the
Yeah.
one that they're gonna skill skip the most, right? Because they just want to get it as quickly as possible. The number of messages I get around this time of year for American high school teams who are holding their tryouts right now,
Yeah.
from parents and athletes. I have to get my back handspring for tryouts. Like, no, you don't. That's the worst thing you can do,
Yeah.
because it's like, why are you rushing that process? Like, one of my biggest bits of advice for these families is like, just ask to be evaluated at a later date. If you can contribute more than tumbling to your potential team, go out there and showcase your best talent and ask if you can be evaluated like probation, like 90 days later. Say, hey, I'm working on it. I'm doing privates twice a week. I'm taking all these classes. Can we see where I'm at in August or September, when there's no pressure or not as much pressure for tryouts and I have a little bit more time to work on it? But yeah, believe it or not, the back handspring, and with a lot of athletes, it's letting go, that fear that comes with getting off of the ground and taking off. And the number one thing I always point out is that you're not afraid of the skill, you're afraid of a feeling somewhere in that process. And it's usually that feeling of letting go and allowing yourself to actually jump back on your hands.
And there's a trust process within yourself as well, isn't there? You know,
100%.
like you've got
Oh,
to
for sure.
trust yourself to catch yourself on the back handspring, because you're doing something that's like completely, like you say, unnatural, where you're going backwards, and the the peripheral vision and everything else, and the strength that your
Oh,
body
yeah.
needs for that. It's
Yeah.
kind of going against what you, like you said, your brain's going, that's nope, that I sense danger.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the best way to put it.
I had one with a standing tuck, and 100%. I used to tell, because I'm a tall guy, I used to tell myself,
Oh,
that
yeah.
I can't do
Yeah.
it, because I
Yeah.
feel like if I fail, I've got further to fall. Because when I jump high. And it's like, if I just have that moment in my head where I'm like, I can't rotate, and I'm just gonna hit the floor like a sack of potatoes, I'm gone,
See?
I'm ruined. So I
And I'm
always struggle with my standing tuck.
I'm telling you, that's a real thing. And it's one of those things I can't speak on because I'm not tall, right? Like, so I have taller athletes, even like I said, this young lady who's longer. I have longer, taller athletes whose limbs and torsos and legs are like different lengths. And I can't speak directly on it, but from the research I've done, that's very true. Like, you feel that you have farther to go, farther to reach, and your
100%.
center of gravity is completely different.
Yeah.
So all of those anxieties that seem like they would be there are actually there for good reason. Now, it still makes them irrational because the technique is what should keep us safe.
Yeah.
But you can't argue with someone's perception of what they're going through. But yeah, as your body changes, and every person has to adapt to their own physical limitations. You even have like some athletes who there's a very novel fix for frog legs and a back handspring, but there are some individuals whose hips are actually set outward.
Yeah.
So they're fighting their own physiology to get their legs together for a sport that wants your legs together and for it to look clean and pretty.
Yeah.
So really, really interesting. Should we define mental block? Because this is one of my favorite things to do with cheer people.
Yeah.
Let's define. Now, this is not my definition. A certain Merriam-Webster came up with this a long time ago. So this is something that has been at our disposal as a resource for decades. And this, I think, sociologically is really interesting to point out how our culture has influenced other acro cultures, by the way, right? With gymnastics and dance, like everyone uses this term now because it's easy. But anyways, mental block, by definition, is a person's inability to recall mental information or perform a mental action. The reason that the word physical is left out of that is because we have this function of our brains called implicit long-term memory. All of us athletic people know that as muscle memory. So your muscle memory is a one-way street, meaning every physical learned behavior that you've learned since birth, anything you didn't know how to do autonomously or as a baby, you have learned afterwards. So walking, talking, writing, jumping, skipping, etc., back handspringing, back tucking, all of our tumbling skills, once they are locked into that implicit long-term memory, they will not leave us for life, right? It's like, you guys have the term, like, it's like, everybody says it's like riding a bicycle, like, oh yeah, it's so easy, it's like riding a bike. That's why we say that, because you never forget how to ride a bike because it's a physical learned behavior. So yeah, so that's why on the surface, that's why it is incorrect to call what we feel as athletes. And I've had like Olympic level athletes, the gymnasts, argue with me, not argue, but they brought up a vehement point
Yeah.
on Instagram when I've posted about this. Like, no. Athlete blocks, mental blocks are very serious and they're very real to athletes. Yes, what you are experiencing is very real. But when we use an umbrella term like mental block, right? Like, think about this. I could come up to you guys and be like, oh, I can't do my skill today. I have a mental block. Your first reaction is going to be, oh, yeah, okay. And you feel like the person is empathizing or sympathizing with you and like you're on the same page, but you have no idea what the causes of my block are.
Yeah.
Just like if I come up to you and you're like, yeah, I'm having a bad day, and I'm like, oh, girl, I've been there, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what the heck your bad day entails or means. It's a way of us communicating without vulnerability, without me having to get more specific, because again, humans hate discomfort. So why would I get uncomfortable, especially if I don't like, if there's not trust or a history of like open communication there?
Yeah.
Why would I feel safe being vulnerable with you and spilling out my deepest insecurities when it comes to my physical performance?
Yeah.
So we say mental block because it's easier for us to distance ourselves from the problem and the other person that's trying to relate with us.
Yeah.
Now, this is my second favorite part. I'm going to give you guys examples of 2, maybe 3 actual everyday mental blocks that I'm almost guaranteeing that you experience on a daily basis. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, we're leading in. We're leading in.
The first is known scientifically as lethalogica, or it has a cousin called lethanomia. This is when you're telling a story or you're recalling details mentally and you forget a word or you forget the name of a person, place, or thing. And you're telling a story and you're like, yeah, and then we went to that new restaurant. Oh, it's right there. So lethalogica is also known as tip of the tongue syndrome. That is a mental block. That's your failure to recall mental information, right? Doing a math problem, mental block. You forget how to perform a mental process. The last one, everybody experiences on a daily basis. You get up from one room in your house to go to another. And go ahead, finish it.
You forget what you got.
Mine's not even daily. Mine's like,
hourly. And think about this. I have family members who have a hard time like recalling where they left their phone or their keys. And what do we do? When we forgot? We walk from room to room searching. This is an I say evolutionary loosely, but it's an evolutionary. It's something that was programmed into our brains to help keep us safe, right? Because it's only been around maybe like 150 years that we've been putting locks on our doors and security systems. Humans used to live in huts and houses and makeshift things without locks. And so when you go from room to room, you used to have to make sure that there was no threat waiting for you in the next room, right? So this is why we go from room to room and we forget, because our short-term memory gets wiped so you can take in as much information as you can in that new space. Wow. But it's problematic in how we live our lives now, because we go from room to room searching and we're like, why can I not remember? And this is why, because your brain is doing what it's supposed to do. And then we start blaming our age. We start blaming our memory. We start taking supplements, right? We start taking the latest vitamins for helping improve cognitive ability. We download apps. Nope. Just stand still for 5 seconds and let your brain recall where you put something.
You do know I'm going to take this now, and when Jane goes, Theo, I've lost this, or I'm doing this, I've done this, I'm going to be like, you take 5 seconds, have a big breath in, big breath out, and just recalibrate.
Just let it come back to you.
Maybe it might have had to do with, it had been a sociable night, let's say.
Oh.
Sorry, I was joking.
If you can't handle a hangover, Jane, don't do it.
No,
just say so. We won't judge you.
I had a search party out for my phone at a hotel.
Yeah.
Because I have 2 phones. I have a work phone and my personal phone. So I had my 2 phones, and I was like, "Oh, I've lost my phone. I can't find my phone." I was actually on the phone.
Oh dear Lord. Can somebody help me find my phone, please?
I was on the phone that I thought I'd lost, and on the other, I
I
had a
love it.
search party out for it, and there was like, Jane, we're gonna ring,
Yeah.
and there was like, no, it's like, you know, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
it's
Jane, that actually may not be a mental block. That might be something a little more serious that we have to
That's
get. We might have to talk off camera about that one.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
but it's true. And I had one, the kids owned used to know I'd put my keys on my phone down constantly, always forgetting. So one of the kids was at Worlds and they'd won one of these like wrap around your neck so you could put your phone in it. I was looking for my
Right.
phone for an hour until I finally let down and it was hanging and swinging. I was like, I'd forgot I'd put it.
The whole time
And-
it's hitting you against your body.
Is there
And
any
you're like,
help?
someone
Is there any
please.
help?
Oh Lord.
Honestly.
Yeah, we definitely should keep these stories to ourselves.
Yeah, bless her.
This is a whole other level.
Final couple of questions is next
Yes.
thing, cheer moving forward as a sport. What are your thoughts on
Yeah.
it being recognised, Olympic standard governing body?
Ooh.
What are your thoughts on that process?
Your timing is crazy on this question. I think we need to restructure cheer. I think it needs to be restructured. I think we no longer, number one, no longer need to refer to it as cheerleading because let's be honest, the leading part of that, crowd leading is kind of lost, right? Especially with performative cheer, with All Star, like we're just out there performing. So I think it needs to be restructured where cheer is the overarching sport term, and then underneath that we have all of the different types of cheer that we do. And under that would be included like traditional sideline or game day cheer, right? Cheerleading. And then this is probably, I don't know, you guys tell me what you think about this. Top Gun level 6 and other level 6 and level 7 teams, they're on a different planet.
Yeah.
I don't think that they should be competing. I think that they should be just being exhibitionists at competitions, right? But so they don't lose the drive, I think that they should have other opportunities. Like I think that cheer should evolve to the point where, again, that performative cheer thing, we're taking it to the next level and we're saying, hey, you've aged out. That's cool. We have a, I don't know if you call it a team, but yeah, we have a team that travels around the world performing, right? So now you're making money as a performer. You don't lose that drive to like and chase the adrenaline. You still want to perform. You know, I'm thinking about like the Liam Podolskis and like the others who are just like on a different level when it comes to their athleticism. I don't want you to lose that drive. I want you to say, hey, I'm going to take this and turn it into a career now where I don't have to worry about going to university. I don't have to worry about, you know, being 30 on an open level 6 team. Like I'm going to go perform around the world and be a representative for what cheer as a sport is. Yeah. So that's my biggest thought. Like I think it needs to be restructured.
Because we've just talked about this on the last podcast.
Did you really?
Yeah, we were literally talking about pathways of like within being like a youth and then, you know, going to youth and then going to summit or like World All Stars or, you know, with other competitions. Yeah. Not having that development pathway from, you're not, you know, like in Olympics, you've been a child athlete, but you're aspiring to be at the end goal, like the best. And what you've just said would be amazing because you've got that, just the start, you've got a pathway, then you're going into that competitiveness, then you age out, and then you're going into like performance
side of it.
And it's
right, like an actual career.
Got a financial, you know, so there's a financial implication on that. There's also, for want of a better word, the celebrity side to that as well, which will in turn inspire younger athletes.
Thank you. Yeah.
Want to see, like, that's my goal.
And like a massive convention as well, like a big like RuPaul Drag Race has a massive convention. All the best,
Right.
best go
Yeah.
around the world, and the
Right.
platform and stage where other EPs can set up and showcase what they offer in a competition provider. Clubs can set up and showcase what they offer, and just have this one
Yeah.
massive. We all hold hands. We're all friends. We're all family. Have that one
Yeah.
ethos. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think we're a long way.
And especially
Yeah.
if the sport did go into the Olympics, because you could then create a team from almost the best of the best from the different clubs, bring them together, and then the world's your oyster.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wipe it floor. Final question is, we're going to end it on.
Can I give you a little bow and a round of applause
Yeah,
for that
you
one?
are.
Yeah.
Oh, please.
All that, yeah.
Thank you.
This is, you might not, but I'm going to ask it anyway. But the amount of bids, I don't know if that's a thing that you feel over in the US, but in the UK, it's massive for us. We have so many competitions that gives out bids. It's starting to affect the industry massively now, to the point where clubs, smaller clubs, are feeling the pressure to get to America and compete in America. The financial cost as well for us to go over there and compete. What are your thoughts on bids and around like championships? Obviously, we've got worlds, all-star worlds now, and there's so much going on.
I don't get so overly involved because I do feel it's overwhelming, and one of the benefits of what I do is that I don't have to be a head coach or an owner, or I get to be, I always say, I get to be the fun uncle that comes in and does his clinic, and then I get to leave, like
that's how I am now. I'm do that for the kids now. They'll come in and go, Jane, will you do the technique for the stunt? And
right, yeah,
I will.
Sure.
And
as long as you understand, I'm out at this time.
I've got a wine day at 5 p.m. Exactly. I'm off.
Just saying, I gotta go. But no, but I think, Theo, the pressure, that's the point that I would like to relieve, because I think it's just, like when we're just starting our season and the kids are already worried, or some of them are excited, but they're already worried about getting bids at the end of the season. I think there has to be a way that is I don't even want to say restructured again, but like the emphasis has to be redistributed, because they are putting this uncanny amount of pressure on themselves in a sport that already requires, or has in a culture that already has a lot of pressure, designed into it. I mean, in terms of the amount of,
you get like tiny athletes that will know about worlds. I'm like, I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, like,
I'm like, you're 4 years old, 6 years old. You're not going to America.
Exactly.
Learn to say supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Let's just be honest.
America.
America.
I think it's cute when they get excited to see the older girls, like they'll see them performing, and then they'll like crowd around the TV to like see if they got a bid or whatever. I think that's precious. I think that's great. That's inspirational, right?
Yeah.
But I think that when it comes to the amount of bids, with a lot of other things, when it comes to competitions, I have to question, when we start to get overwhelmed, how much of that is financially driven and how much of that is actually driven by the sport. Right. And you're wanting to participate in the sport. Because at this point, it's like, for instance, when I hear that a division has 30 plus teams in it, I know that it's a financially driven decision. Right. There's no, it's not like, oh, well, this is the only time of year we're going to have everybody here, so let's just get it's meant, no. Like, that is clearly a financially driven decision to get as many heads to participate in your event as possible. Speaking of which, by the way, I had no idea that, so when that the shooting scare happened at NCAA this year.
Oh yeah.
I had no idea that they made 35 million a day at those competitions. Like the organizers, look it up. There was and maybe the press got it wrong. Maybe I don't think so.
No.
But they said by shutting down that Saturday, they were missing out on something like $30 million.
Wow.
Which is insane to me. So that's my answer, Theo. Like, I think when it comes to the sheer amount of bids, I always have to question what the motivation is. But when it comes to, the pressure that's around it, that definitely needs to be relieved. Because look, this is what I always say. People always argue, well, pressure creates diamonds. So that's what, you got to remember. That's motivation culture again. Pressure creates diamonds. Yeah, that takes thousands of years So, do you want your child athlete going through their entire career under the weight of all that pressure? Also, pressure bursts pipes. So,
Yeah.
what kind of pressure are you applying, right? Pressure always has to be relieved somehow,
Yeah.
right? For a diamond, it's clearly like it's turned into this unbreakable element, right? But yeah, like what kind of pressure are you applying to your program, to your athletes, to your parents, to your coaches, and then like what do you want to be remembered for at the end of the day? So
Amen. In
Yeah.
my gym, it's just to have fun. I tell my girls, all my girls, is to
I
just
love
go
it.
out and have fun because we
Yeah.
Yeah,
are gifted with a life, and we're you never know when something can happen that's drastic or might change your life, or something might really.
Yeah.
So every moment that you spend in my club is a moment that a memory you can make and cherish forever and have fun.
oh,
Like,
it's beautiful.
if a stunt falls, I'm when I get off the floor, I'm not scream at them. I'm just say that. Did you have fun? Did you have a good
Yeah,
time?
Yeah.
Did
I
you?
love that.
I
And
think
that's
that's
building them up and
another cultural thing as well. Like you find a lot of people going, "Well, I'm the tough coach. I'm
Yeah,
the hard coach. I'm this." I'm
yeah,
like, I'm always like, I'm not. I'm
yeah.
like the nurturing coach. I'm sorry, but I like
Thank you.
actually in our industry, there's almost a badge of honor for
yeah,
how like mean you can be. Where
Yep.
when I first started out, because that was kind of the culture, and you're surrounded by that. But then I can't sort of caught myself, and I was like, "What am I doing?"
Same. I in my early 20s, I was like, I had a whistle. I was known for being like a drill sergeant. They were teasing me for how like strict I was. And when I took a break, I was a graphic designer for like 10 years. And then when I came back into it, I was like, that just feels like disingenuous. That doesn't feel authentic to who
yeah,
I am. Like I was definitely trying to live up to a standard of what I thought you had to be
Yeah.
and nurture. That's the perfect word. Like the one of the first tenets that I created for myself when I started Coach Lain as a brand was train the motion, nurture the mind. Like I want to make sure like our nature is to nurture.
Yeah.
And that's what the difference is when you come to work with me, there's no pressure at all. Like
Yeah.
I tell them I don't care about the skill. If I'm being honest, I don't care about your skill. I care about the human performing the skill. And I want to make sure she has competence, confidence, and control. But the skill will come. The skill is proven to work, whether you do it or not. The skill still works. Whether Jenna can do a back handspring doesn't change whether or not the back handspring works.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about the skill. The skill works, and if I teach you to do the skill, it'll work. Let's focus on you and what's going on with you, because humans are the reason that these skills are messy. That we're the reason that people develop mental blocks or performance anxieties, right? Like we're the issue, and it's Simon Sinek that he said, I speak on business all over the world. I talk about, I go to, conventions with thousands of business leaders. We talk about quarterly earnings and all this. And he said, at the end of the day, I don't care about any of that stuff. He said, because I care about the human. My belief is that if we want to achieve world peace, you start with, and it's funny that we're talking about the business world, but he says you start with the people and you make sure that the people are happy where they work. So Theo, that's a beautiful approach to what you do at your gym. Make sure the people who are coming to our gyms are happy, because they're going to go home happier people, and they're going to have happier relationships and interactions with the people at home. And if you can produce happy people who will then return to the place where they're happy to be, then you're already tackling a much bigger societal problem than if you were, just trying to, again, placate it with motivation culture or, vacations, like you're trying to just like ignore the problem by making sure that you're comfortable. If you can get comfortable being uncomfortable
Yeah.
and doing the hard work,
yeah.
it's going to go so much further,
Yeah.
100%. That was beautiful to end on as well.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for your time. We'll hopefully get to cross paths with you. We're going to fly to Worlds next year. We're not going this year, but we're going to go out next year. So we'll definitely go out for a couple of drinks.
Yeah, right.
Pick your brains
Well,
some more.
Or if you
that
have
would be
for
amazing.
for any gyms over in the UK,
Yeah.
Me and Theo were talking about this. It's been on my bucket list for eons, it feels like, to make it over to the UK. I would love to come over, work with you guys, and learn. I don't want the misconception to be that I'm coming over to always like bring this bravado, American bravado, and teach.
Yeah.
I want to learn too. Like I
Yeah.
love student of culture. Like I want to learn what it's like to be a cheerleader in the UK.
Yeah.
And
Well,
what it's like to be a cheer coach. What are what are the issues you guys deal with? So yeah, I would love that. So if maybe we can talk a little bit more about that.
Yes.
I've got spare room.
And when the podcast goes out, we'll put your link underneath.
Yeah,
so
for
like
sure.
if any gyms
Appreciate that.
are watching and think,
That's the
we
question.
want Coach Lain.
Yeah.
How can people find you on socials? Just plug yourself and how they can find you and stuff like that on social media.
Yeah. I'm at Coach Lain everywhere socially. Like I've worked really hard to make sure I get the same.
I'm the same as you. I'm literally the same across all platforms.
All platforms. Yep. Sure. At Coach Lain. You can go to my one of my two websites. I have CoachLain.com and TrainWithCoachLain.com, which is my booking site. Yeah. And on both those sites, I have some of my books. I have the backhand. Oh, sorry about that. I have the backhand spring. Good Lord.
Yeah.
Technical issues. I have the backhand spring repair kit. I have Outperforming Fear. So I have a couple books you could take advantage of. But yeah, mostly just reach out to me on Instagram. That's where I'm the most active. And we'll start the conversation there. And then I can throw different links at you from there.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much. Well, it's been such a pleasure to speak to you.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Same here, you guys. Thank you so much. This has been such a great time.
And that was Coach Lain. What an honor to have him on the podcast.
That was amazing. I mean, how much information have we got there?
My brain is literally like sore. I feel like I've taken in so much.
But he gave us so many different angles to look at things rather than just in the cheer industry, but like the mindset.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
It was nice to actually hear that he's on the same page as us as well.
Absolutely. So it does go across the pond.
It does go across the big ocean. People are on the same page, all wanting the same thing. And change is sometimes good. Honestly.
Do you remember the episode? And I said, the waves part and there's the staff and there's a cheerleader there with the rule book.
It's going to be you one side and Lain the other.
I was... Okay.
Steady on, Jane. Thank you so much for tuning in to season 2, episode 4. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok. You can listen in on Spotify and also YouTube. Watch our beautiful faces. Stay tuned as we've got more episodes coming up. I've been Theo and Jane.
And I've been Jane Valentine.
See ya.